Welcome to the Alpha Pickleball Podcast, where we slice through the noise to bring you the juiciest insights, strategies, and stories from the dynamic world of pickleball. Join us as we serve up engaging conversations with top players, coaches, and enthusiasts, giving you an ace perspective on all things pickleball. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just stepping onto the court, get ready for a volley of knowledge that'll elevate your game to alpha levels. Let the rallies begin.
All right, welcome again to the show. I'm your host, Tats. Wow, name thing. Funny thing though is we have Augie Ge on the show, pro pickleball player, college tennis athlete, table tennis background, which I'm really interested in. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, hi Tats. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Hi everyone. How's it going?
Now, interesting. I butchered sort of my name intro, but the thing is, I was listening to your sort of the broadcast of an APP event, and the broadcaster, after trying to go Augie Ge, said something along the lines of, "I don't want to keep saying the name because people think that I'm not finishing the sentence," and they started calling you Augustus. So, like, I've had a lot of name stories because people butchered my name over the years. What are yours?
Yeah. I'll just get Ge or G a lot for my last name. They usually get Augustus or Augie right. But yeah, so whenever they ask, I'm happy to just let them know that it's pronounced Ge, but honestly, I don't mind however anyone pronounces it. It's cool with me.
Awesome. I was doing a little bit of research on table tennis because I'm really interested. My background is tennis, but table tennis relates to pickleball. And I noticed that a lot of the table tennis players had cool nicknames like Cloud Walker. What would be your nickname if pickleball went that way?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. You're putting me on the spot there. I would say since I'm lefty and I had like maybe a more like strategic technician style of gameplay, maybe like something along the lines of like lefty technician, I guess. Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We gotta work on it some more. But yeah, I got
Yeah,
asked
we'll
that, and
workshop
I didn't have a clue either. So,
it.
um, but let's walk through how you found pickleball and walk from tennis over to table tennis and see where we go.
Yeah, certainly. So, I first played pickleball in middle school PE. I went to public school here in Phoenix, Arizona, and I honestly thought it was pretty cool. I remember at the time, like I was playing like all the junior tournaments, junior tennis tournaments. I'm like, wow, this is like a new racket slash paddle sport that I've never heard of. I guess I also kind of understood that at the time, like a lot of older folks played it. But I remember thinking it was quite fun at the time. So we played that for like a week and then didn't touch a paddle until February of 2022. I was going to grad school out in Rhode Island and came back home to visit, and pickleball at that point had already blown up. One of my buddies, Nico Montoya, who I grew up playing junior tennis with, he played a little bit of pickleball at the time. And so one of our mutual friends said that I should come out to a park that actually a lot of Arizona pro players kind of got their start at this park because it's like right in the center of town. It's like a super nice spot. So I went to that park, played with Nico. It was a ton of fun. And then again, went back to finish school, or I guess maybe I was just working at the time. But then I moved back to Phoenix, Arizona in June of 2022. Was playing a little bit, but then really started to play regularly like around September 2022. And I remember because I got like a proper carbon fiber paddle for my birthday that year, which is in September. So yeah, just been playing since then. Been really loving it. Started playing tournaments Played like a 5-0 in October 2022, and then started playing like the qualies of like pro tournaments in January of this year, 2023.
That's
So yeah,
awesome.
it's been fun. And then
Now, how's your transition been? I mean, what type of game style did you play as a tennis player?
yeah, that's a great question. I actually, growing up, I had a coach that taught me a lot of serve and volley, believe it or not. So I was playing like a lot of serve and volley when I was like 10 all the way to like 13, 14 years old. And it helped me develop my net play a lot as well as like transition. But then it was just quite tough because I was just getting passed all the time. So I kind of started playing a lot more of a traditional, like modern style up until college. But I really loved coming into the net, and I really favored my backhand, especially in high school. And then my forehand started to really develop more in college. But I've always kind of been like an all court player, I would say. Yeah.
You know, if you're a servant volleyer, and in your early junior years,
Mhm.
and you're not huge, like a huge individual
Yeah.
with a huge serve, you're just asking for pain.
Yes, yes, exactly. It was a ton of getting past, and yeah, getting winners just blown by me. But I guess it helped my mental strength a lot. I knew if I could get past that many times, that when I went to the baseline, I wouldn't ever feel like too bad about a winner getting hit past me.
There you go. There's always an advantage. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I noticed lefty. I think Nico's lefty too, right?
that's right. Hmm.
That's awesome. So he was able to show you the ropes because he started earlier, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like we played, it was my very first tournament. We played 5-0, and we were kind of playing straight up, stacking with Nico on the right a little bit. But yeah, I really learned the game from him, and it was super beneficial to have a lefty to teach me all of like the very specialized lefty shots and strategies.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't want to turn into a lefty episode, but tell me what those are. What are some of the things that stood out?
So Nico always had a very good, very strong emphasis on like fundamentals. So his backhand dinking cross court was always extremely solid, and he would probably beat me in every single backhand cross court rally that we ever did. And then Nico also, he really treated rec quite well, in the sense that he would be very experimental and trying all the different shots. So he was really working on the backhand flick all the time, even from like when none of us really had a backhand flick. He was always trying to do it, and he was trying to create a lot of offense from the right side as well. Because I guess traditionally, with righties, they don't do maybe as much creating on the right as, say, a right-handed player would on the left side. So it was nice to see like one could still geometrically construct points from the right side as a
Mm,
lefty as well. So
interesting. The possibility
yeah.
of doing that
Hmm.
balance. I think you see that more in teams where they be able to have some sort of offense from both sides.
Certainly. Yeah.
Yeah. So with your having two hand, did you ever hit one hand, or was you always had two handed?
Yeah, from the start, I think because of Nico, I tried to always do two-handed dinks. In the beginning, I was certainly more comfortable with one-hand dinks, but I would always try to fight for being the first to hit like the topspin dink at the kitchen, as I feel like that kind of gives you more margin to be aggressive with your dinks. So that's why I've kind of gravitated towards a two-hand backhand dink.
Yeah, I know I had a one-handed shot, so I never had a natural two-handed. I experimented a little bit, but I noticed obviously your footwork has to be better, right? Your recovery needs to be better and having the paddle in front because your hands are down a little bit lower. What other things do you need to consider when you're hitting a two-handed cross court like that?
Yes, yes. All of what you just mentioned, and then all of that, I'd say the biggest thing that I focus on is the paddle face, like the paddle face angle. And that's a product of everything that you just mentioned, the footwork, like the physicality of being able to get low, and like your positional recovery after each ball. So I know if like I do all of those things, then I'm able to get my paddle face in like the right angle such that I can kind of brush the outside of the ball and hit topspin with two hands.
Yeah, no, very cool. Now, so I'm curious about your table tennis background. My, parents played table tennis, and I would love to just say, hey, look, teach me table tennis or cross train so I can get better habits in pickleball. Now, what should I tell them? Like, 'cause I don't have time to learn everything. So what sort
Sure.
of things what can I take from table tennis if I were to use it as cross training?
Yeah, that is hmm, tough to say. I will just mention what I kind of use it for. So I actually still will cross train table tennis. And several months ago, I got like a ping pong like backboard essentially, or a rebounder. So I'm hitting table tennis balls against like on a full table with the rebounder at the very end of the table. And I primarily began to do that to work on like the backhand flick or
Mhm.
roll technique. Because when I was playing table tennis, I never really quite had that shot or like a backhand loop. I was kind of more of a backhand puncher, so to speak. So that training the backhand loop on the table tennis, on the ping pong table, has helped me tremendously develop my backhand flick. Yeah, I would say if you have the space for it, get a full table and a rebounder, and just work on specific shots. And now I've also started to branch out and kind of work on different combos. Um, so granted, like the rebounder is an inanimate object, I think there's still like some pattern recognition to be learned as to like when the ball comes from different angles, how it's going to bounce off of the rebounder and back to me. And being able to recognize all of those patterns and doing like different three-shot combos, I think has also benefited me. If not, I've spent like probably 20 hours just doing nothing, but it's been fun.
Sounds like a good idea, though.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's been helping for sure. It's also just good for general baseline like coordination and like eye tracking and hand speed and technique refinement, things of that nature.
I'm wondering, I mean, when coming from tennis, gripping the paddle tight, I mean, I guess in table tennis, you hold everything lighter, the ball's more sensitive. You really have to cut it finer than tennis, I would assume, because it's not holding on the strings in different ways, right? You can't cheat. Then you can always kind of like manipulate your body a little bit in tennis to get an angle. Whereas,
Right.
yeah, in pickleball, like if your angles are not correct coming in, it's just death.
Certainly, certainly. And I think a big part of that is also attributed to like one's just like level of comfort with like a continental grip as well coming from tennis. Because like with the continental grip, yeah, there isn't so much of like brushing or manipulating the ball on contact, so to speak, as there is with like a semi-Western grip. And kind of the same principles apply to table tennis and pickleball as well, where you still get some dwell time, but it's nowhere as extreme. So you really got to just be precise with that, like very initial touch on the ball to the paddle.
No bad body position and no bad footwork.
No, can't get away with it.
Oh man. So I was watching the finals at the Orchard with Ben and Colin talking about, and I think were talking a little bit about indoor and space behind the baseline. Then I started to remember in tennis there's always a lot of conversations around, the court conditions, the balls that were being used, the temperature. I mean, I saw the indoor games. Obviously, they're bashing away because there's no wind and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
I would think no coincidence that when Jack Sock came in, they put him indoors, right?
yeah, right.
But I mean, what considerations do you think about there? I mean, indoor, outdoor, the ball, whatever. Do you play differently?
Yeah, I would say I play differently. That's a great question. And it's kind of subconscious to conscious kind of change. Although, like the bigger the change, I guess the more conscious I am with the change in play style. But for like, for instance, at the Orchard, since we play there and we got to practice there quite a bit, um, leading up to it, there wasn't so much of a conscious like adjustment every time. It's just this is how we play in the Orchard, and this is what tends to work. It became like kind of second nature. But actually, now is kind of a good time to speak about it because the weather is getting colder. There is like a kind of shift in overall strategy. The game becomes a lot faster. Third ball drives tend to work more than they did in the summertime. Like maybe a few more speed ups off the bounce can be more rewarding than they otherwise would have been. Yeah, there's a lot of different factors in play. Yeah, even like the ball, I know like PPA might be switching to like the Vulcan ball next year, which I've heard is kind of like a hybrid between the Dura and the Franklin. So that might slow the game down a bit as well. I just know also when we went to Dallas for PPA Nationals, the game kind of slowed down dramatically because we were using the Franklin ball. But then again, it's not something that I'm consciously thinking, oh, like since it's a Franklin, I might not be able to speed this ball up or that ball up that I usually speed up. It's just like we practiced for a week with the Franklins, and I'm like kind of learning subconsciously like this ball doesn't work anymore, that ball doesn't work anymore. But I'm not so much really thinking too heavily about it. It's just kind of
Yeah.
becomes instinct at that point.
Yeah, I guess it has to. But yeah, you brought up an interesting point. A week before, I guess that makes sense. I mean, these days there's so many different balls. I feel like with the number of paddles most people have and the number of balls any competitive player has to carry on, everyone can open up their own little store.
Yeah, yeah, seriously. I probably own like 200 to 300 balls like right now. Yeah, I've got a basket mostly of like old Duras. Um, but yeah, I could definitely get a lot of money back if I were to open a store. I've got probably 10 to 15 old paddles, a few of them delaminated, a few of them I just kind of moved on from, but I'm sure they'll make for some valuable inventory at a garage sale someday.
You could build a fence out of it.
Yeah, totally could. Maybe I could put them on a wall. I know Jordan Briones has like a wall of pickleball paddles, and it
Well,
looks
yeah,
pretty
that's
cool.
that's almost standard, right? If you're a pro, you got a wall with a bunch of paddles on it. It's or hats,
Yeah,
right? One or the other.
yeah. If you don't have it, you've never been a pro, or you're not a pro. That's so true.
Awesome. I mean, what other things, I mean, do you focus on in terms of drilling or training to get better?
Yeah. So I will start with like the traditional stuff. I say in my drilling sessions, we usually do like quite a bit of kitchen work. We'll do some like no speed up stuff at the kitchen just to work on dink quality and dink volume, and kind of fitness as well. And then we'll kind of open up into anything goes, and like so you can speed up any ball that you want. Um, and we'll do mostly down the line of that. We'll do some cross court as well, but kind of down the line might be the most, I guess, match realistic in terms of that kitchen game. And then I usually go back to the mid court for a lot of reset stuff. That's where I feel like I get the most benefit out of my drilling sessions, to be honest, because if I'm feeling very good with my resets, then that really opens up and alleviates any pressure that I have on my third balls, which then I will work on after the mid court. So
Yeah.
always kitchen stuff, always mid court stuff, and then usually we'll like try to groove drops and drives for like 5 to 10 minutes at least each drill session, and then I probably drill about four times a week, I'd say. And then the rest, I'm doing some like rec doubles play usually.
Yeah, when you're doing rec doubles play, is there a focus to it? Do you play a certain type of players? Is there a strategy behind it?
Um, Actually, there isn't for me. So in rec doubles play, I usually just try to focus on winning, to be honest. Yeah, any specific shot that I need to work on, I'll make sure I do that when I'm drilling. But just because of how like continuous and dynamic the game is, it's really hard for me to kind of focus on one shot or one particular um, kind of pattern even. Well, actually, that's not right. I will focus on strategy, especially if I'm like kind of practicing with a partner that um, I know I'm going to play with like in the future. But it's really hard for me to focus on like anything super specific in rec in terms of like a single shot. But yeah, usually my focus is just on winning.
I mean, is it like because in tennis, some people are very instinctual, some people are very technical. It sounds like you do the work in the drilling session and whatever comes out of that comes out. Is that kind of how it works for you?
Yes, yes, that very much is. And it's not like I won't hit a certain shot in rec because I really want to win. Like this focus is still to work on like my entire arsenal. Um, but like my intensity is like as close to match intensity as I can get it
Mm,
so that when I do bring it to like a tournament, it feels like it's not much different. And
yeah.
that's like, I know people are super different when it comes to that. Like you see Federer when he like practices, he's like super relaxed and very casual. And then you see Rafa and he's going like match speed every single time he steps on the court. So I guess kind of that style of practice resonates more with me and when I'm playing points.
Yeah, so you're going hard. Do you do anything particularly to like penalties, like kind of just like push-ups or something, or do you just you're just there and your mind goes there?
I'm just there and my mind goes there. But it is always fun to like do some penalties. The easiest is just like loser buys food or whatever, but we'll do some like butts up as well. That's always
Oh,
fun. That's
explain
kind of
butts
like a
up for people
carryover.
that are not quite sure what that is.
Yeah, so it's basically just the two winning players will get to like take a ball from the net and kind of hit it as hard as they can at the losing players whose butts are up and they're like facing against the fence, the far fence.
Now,
So it's a fun way to incentivize.
I never thought about this in terms of pickleball because I've never trained that way. I mean, you've been on the losing end before. I mean, what's worse, the tennis ball or a pickleball? Distance and pain.
uh, Pain, actually, initial contact, it might be pretty close because the pickleball kind of stings more, especially when it's cold. But overall, the tennis ball will definitely generate more damage.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, if you get hurt doing this, it's not Augie's or my fault, okay?
Yeah, no, don't try this at home unless you want to. I don't
Yeah.
condone this.
I mean, and then also competing, right? You accelerated into this. You're playing pro. In college, you weren't in tennis. You weren't thinking about playing pro tennis. I mean, what's that like for you? Just kind of like being a pro at what you're doing.
Yeah, honestly, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, in juniors in like college and tennis, I was never really in the cards for me to. I mean, I could have gone and tried to make it, but I wasn't. I didn't quite have like the shots that one would need. Like my serve never quite got to like an elite level on my like level of fitness or just physicality never quite got there. But so I always kind of felt like it would be so cool to like play a pro sport, and now just being able to play pro pickleball has just been a huge blessing. I mean, I always love to compete, and it's just fun to play against the best in the world. And now here we are getting to do so. I never thought I would really play competitive sports again. Like I played like table tennis in grad school, and then did some like I mean pick up and like IM basketball and stuff, but that's like, I mean, just like you're competing against people within like your little 2,000 people school, and now playing against all the best pickleball players in the world, it's really special to me. So yeah, I'm
Awesome.
just gonna keep trying to go with it and see how far I can go.
Awesome, man. I mean, I've seen your game. It's awesome. I wish you the best of luck. Is there anything that I didn't ask you but you wanted to share?
Um, Not really. No, I think yeah, we covered all of our bases, at least anything that I wanted to get off my chest. So
That's awesome, man. Well, thank you for sharing.
yeah, of course. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to the Alpha Pickleball Podcast with Tats. If you enjoyed today's episode, subscribe, rate, and connect with us on social media. Stay alpha on the pickleball court. Until our next session.